Now, the leftist media activists and propagandists who championed Joe Biden for years are finally telling the truth about what sort of man he really is. Listen here as Chuck Todd tells us what he really thinks.
And when I realized that not one, not two, but three Biden children, and I count Bo's widow, were all dealing with drug problems in 2018. And Joe Biden said, now's a perfect time to run for president because who cares about our family? I have to tell you something about Joe Biden. There's this mythology about Joe Biden that the man cared so much, it's all that he was this incredible family man. And instead, what he really was a craven political animal that never, it was desperate. The man considered or ran for president every 4 years he was eligible. You know why he didn't run in 76? He wasn't 35 yet. That's the only reason.
I don't recall hearing that frankness, that honesty during Chuck Todd's many, many years at NBC. But it wasn't just Chuck Todd. Then stage 4 TDS sufferer Steve Schmidt joined in, saying that he doesn't even trust Joe Biden's children to babysit.
What I said to the group that made them gasp, I said, I have 5 kids. And if I had to leave 12-year-old alone, if I had to leave the kids with someone, and my choices are Hunter Biden or Ashley Biden or Don Jr. and Eric and Laura Trump, like, I'm dropping the kids off at Don and Eric and Laura's house.
Wow, if only these two were forthcoming with this sort of information when it actually mattered. Joining me now is comedian and host of Primetime with Alex Stein on Blaze TV. Alex, the cowardice of these leftist activists, some of them masquerading as journalists, is astounding. What's even the point of saying all this now?
Well, if you look at Chuck Todd, I believe he worked at NBC for 18 years, and I think that he was let go in January because, you know, obviously he was trying to keep the mainstream narrative that Joe Biden was competent for office when in reality, everybody knew that Hunter Biden was a drug addict. Everybody knew that Joe Biden was basically a deadbeat dad, for lack of a better word. And they had to lie to try to paint a picture that he was a competent president. And now Chuck Todd is realizing, listen, I lied. My integrity is totally gone. So he's doing this to save face. And that's why he's all of a sudden changed his tune. So I didn't believe him the first time. And really, I honestly don't trust what he's saying now either.
Well, yeah, because it wasn't just that Joe Biden was competent. That wasn't the only lie they were telling. They were also telling us he was this warm, loving father and grandfather who, let's not forget that he doesn't even acknowledge one of his own grandchildren, a little girl down in Arkansas. Now to the Democrats' new darling. She's the new AOC, so you might have a crush on her because I know you like AOC, Alex. And she's been saying plenty about immigration, illegal immigration. She doesn't even think it's illegal.
It is not a criminal violation to enter the country illegally. It's not a criminal. It's a crime. It's not a crime.
That's Jasmine Crockett. She's gaining herself quite a profile, and she's dead wrong because it is a crime. You think a congresswoman would know that. Here is Border Czar Tom Homan.
Is it a crime or a misdemeanor to enter the country illegally?
It's a crime to enter the country illegally on Title 8, United States Code 1325, and it's really pathetic that any member of Congress don't understand what the law says. They wrote the law. They enacted the law. It was signed by the president. It's a criminal violation to enter the country illegally. If you've entered it prior, it's a felony.
Alex, the Democrats continue to rail against the deportation policy. It's hardly a winning strategy.
No way, Rita. It's definitely not a winning strategy. And, you know, Jasmine Crockett is actually the representative of the district that I have an office in. So it's really sad that she even got elected. It's obviously, it's in South Dallas. It's a predominantly African-American, lower income area. Not realizing that just coming into the country illegally is a crime. That shows you that you don't have to pass an IQ test to become a congresswoman. You can just win based on either the color of your skin or because of the way that you act. And, you know, you win an election in a place where the voters are going to be favorable to you, but it does not mean that she's smart. And I think that the more she talks, the more we realize, you know, how dumb Jasmine Crockett really is. And I hate to call her that, but I think it's just obvious with her statement saying that when a person comes into our country illegally, they're not committing a crime. It's just a very basic, simple concept. You come in here illegally, that's a crime, you're a criminal. I don't know why this is so complicated and hard for them to understand.
I don't know if she's dumb or not, but she may have watched AOC say plenty of dumb stuff and see her profile rise and her influence within the party increase. So maybe she just wants to replicate that. We'll see. Now, the left cannot help themselves, Alex. There appears to be no self-control, no sense of decorum. Watch here as activists harass Vice President J.D. Vance as he walks with his 3-year-old daughter near their home in Ohio. He very graciously offers them a few minutes of his time to talk about what's troubling them if they will leave him and his daughter alone.
Ma'am, look at my 3-year-old daughter now, and I told you, I talked to you for 5 minutes, and now, I did not agree to have my 3-year-old to have people run around and yell at her, and I did talk to you, and I had said, if I talk to you for a few minutes, will you leave my 3-year-old daughter alone, and you said yes. So I'd like you guys to respect that.
The Vice President tweeted saying that it was a mostly respectful conversation, but if you're chasing a 3-year-old as part of your political protest, you're a shit person. This is not the way, Alex, to convince politicians, and I don't think it's the way to convince the general public about the righteousness of your cause if you do that, because no one wants to see a 3-year-old be distressed by this sort of behaviour.
Oh, exactly. You're exactly correct. And you know, there's a saying, when you give a mouse a cookie, you got to give him milk. You know, J.D. Vance was more than gracious to even give them a moment to speak and have a conversation with them. And of course, they can't just have the conversation and be over. They have to start attacking him. They have to make the 3-year-old feel uncomfortable, because some of these people, they're incapable of actually having a civil conversation. And just the fact that the sitting vice president is willing, to sit there and talk to you, you would think, even if you disagree with him ideologically, you would show him enough respect, considering the office that he's holding. And then forget about it. You can be disrespectful to the vice president, but to his 3-year-old daughter, it just shows that these people have no empathy whatsoever, other than, what they personally feel. They care about feelings, just their feelings, not that of a 3-year-old or the vice president, who's being gracious and actually having a conversation. I don't know any other politicians on the left that, if you actually talk to them, and I've tried to, Rita, you know that I've tried to talk to these politicians outside of, Congress and stuff. Mm-hmm. They don't ever want to have a conversation. And J.D. Vance did. So that shows you that he is a guy that does have integrity and that is actually willing to speak to his constituents and try to help and represent them the best way that he can.
Now, you've chased down plenty of politicians from both sides. I've seen you go after Dan Crenshaw, a Republican from Texas, and that's been quite colourful at times. But if there was a child present, would you still pursue them with a camera? I mean, I just think if there's a little child that age, a toddler, you just walk away. It's just not the time.
You're absolutely right. And in no instance have I ever confronted a politician while they were with their daughter or child. I mean, it's unfair to the kid, and you're going to make them feel uncomfortable. So, like I said, J.D. Vance was more than gracious enough to even speak with him. But these people are just so insane that they can't even rationalize how big of a deal it is that they're speaking to the sitting vice president and show him respect and his 3-year-old daughter some respect.
Now, staying in your home state of Texas, all drag performances have been banned from 11 campuses of Texas A&M University. This is quite a momentous announcement, because though you would think a college like this in Texas would be fairly conservative, these college campuses, almost all of them, are not. They're just hotbeds of left-wing activism. So to have drag performances effectively banned from college campuses, what are your feelings about this, Alex?
Well, I'm really happy. And of course, I believe in the First Amendment. I believe in, freedom of speech. But when it comes down to a Texas public school, which Texas A&M is, we don't need our school system trying to spread LGBTQ ideology to young people on campus. It's just unnecessary for the state to sponsor that. And Donald Trump spoke out against it. The Attorney General, Ken Paxton, spoke out against it. So if these people are saying, we don't want this on our state public schools, thank goodness that finally somebody's putting their foot down and stopping it, because when it comes to all the disgusting books that are in public libraries that parents are constantly fighting against, in college, these are adults, but this is still a public school. Our public funds are going to this. And really, I don't want my public funds going to draggy land so more kids can get indoctrinated into this, trans ideology.
Well, we see it in Australia from very young, from sometimes preschool all the way through to university, this sort of left-wing activism that is evident in the curriculum. It's on the campus. It's just shoved down the kids' throats from a young age through to their postgraduate degrees, if they go that far. How much of a change has there been under the Trump administration? Because he's made it clear that funding decisions are going to be attached to these policies, and a lot of the universities have resisted, but others like Texas A&M are changing their ways.
Well, Rita, as you just showed earlier, it's making monumental change because you have the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, who's getting railroaded. And a lot of people like Whoopi Goldberg are complaining because he said that it's unfair for biological women to have to compete against transgender men, which is not a crazy concept. But according to Whoopi Goldberg, she just can't wrap her head around the fact that men are bigger and stronger on average and would have a physical advantage in a physical sport. So listen, this issue is huge. Donald Trump is waking up people like Gavin Newsom, where they're having to have intellectually honest conversations with people like Charlie Kirk, and it's changing the narrative. And I know that you're not anti-trans. I'm not anti-trans. I understand trans people exist, but there needs to be a system where women can compete fairly against other women, and we don't need young kids being indoctrinated into what I call a trans cult. So I think that the tide is shifting, and we're heading in the right direction, but we still have a far way to go.
Now, this next story, Alex, reminded me of you instantly, because I think this is the sort of shenanigans you would have pulled as a youngster. Have a look at this video. A child called the cops on his own mum, asking for her to be locked up because she ate all the ice cream. Watch this future Alex Stein.
Hi.
Oh, it's the police. They came for real.
Yeah, we have to just come check, make sure everything's okay.
Hey, what you do?
Did you call the police?
Yeah.
Why?
I told my mommy to go to jail.
Why do you want mommy to go to jail? She hate you, or is it because you didn't get ice cream yet?
I didn't get ice cream.
So is that why you're upset?
Yeah. That's why I didn't get no ice cream.
Oh, get the little one.
No, it's so hard to yell at them.
A police, yeah.
So no calling 911 unless it's a real emergency, okay?
Oh dear, he needs a spanking, that boy, if you believe in that sort of thing. Alex, that 4-year-old from Wisconsin, he did get his ice cream. The police officers came back with some ice cream for him. Just a nice way to end our little segment.
No, it was great. Thank you to those cops. But you gave me PTSD. I remember when I learned what 911 was, I called it and they came to my house. And Rita, talk about a spanking. I still have bruises from that spanking.
And you would have deserved it. Alex Stein, thank you so much for your time tonight.
Thank you, Rita. Always a pleasure.